Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, lovers and seekers. Welcome back to this fragment, to which we return for a second look. The headline reads as follows, Mr. E. Scaping, and the body reads as follows. Mr. E. Scaping was a man, and otherwise nothing but, an ordinary man, who had few things, a nothing much, who was all right within, himself was only but to blame. He began one day, waking up bits and pieces, waking up bits and lies, right before the eyes, right before the eye, that saw him here, and saw him there, but never a once did they ever see him everywhere. No, he remembers well, he remembers strong, he remembers young, everybody all around, nobody sounded sound. The others, they lied to get first place. Them others, they lied to get 'em back in the face. Everybody lying, everybody doing that dance, everybody a-lying, everybody a-doing that dance, as this man grew older. And that man got fat, seemed everybody, all round and round, forgot what it was, forget how the all sound, lying into forgetfulness. What a terrible state, lying into a forgetfulness. What a bad mistake to make. Grievances, 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 grievances. Nothing but grief, nothing, not even a relief from the grief and the grime, and the time long gone now. Not even a grief relief. No mercy, no shine, no mercy, no shine. When the shine is gone, that's a bad day, that's a bad day, in a bad day kind of way. When the shine is gone, and no polish in sight, 'cause you gone blind too, one in the left, the other at night. When the shine is gone, there no hope for you, only a godly mercy, a hammer hand, will do what will do to you. When the shine is gone, hold your breathing tight, 'cause what's around the corner, though I can't say, not for sure, but hazard a guess, I might. When the shine is gone, you reflect no light, not in the day, not at night. When the shine is gone, 'cause you forgot the sound, there is nothing to say for you, who shine no light, not by day, nor by night. You will never be seen, you will never wondered about, you who forgot how the sound moves quietly, and not by shout. And that's it, the fragment. Mr. E. Scaping. Let's get started, shall we? Very well. 1. The name as aperture. The first gate is the name, Mr. E. Scaping. It is a lock that is also a key. It opens onto a void, mystery spelled in fragments, escaping pressed into formal title. The name suggests a constant movement away from enclosure, a refusal to be contained within a single vantage. Even before his life is described, the name itself establishes a field in which containment is impossible. Names usually fix a person in a frame. Here the name is a gesture toward dispersal. The man is defined by leaving, slipping, evading. A name like this resists narrative closure before the first fact is told. 2. Ordinary as disguise. The first sentences flatten the figure into ordinariness. Mr. E. Scaping was a man, and otherwise nothing but, an ordinary man. The phrasing is careful. The redundancy of man after the name drains any glamour from the introduction. There is no heroic qualifier, no special trait, only ordinary, and the curiously broken and otherwise nothing but. This break is not only syntactic but conceptual. It is a small fracture in the plainness, a slight hesitation, as though ordinariness here is not self-evident, but a mask worn convincingly. The effect is inversion. The more the description insists on ordinariness, the more the surface is suspected of concealing something. Disguise does not require elaborate artifice. The most perfect disguise is often the assertion of being nothing at all. 3. The poverty of things. The next measure is taken in possessions. Who had few things, a nothing much. The rhythm of the 2 lines has a kind of ledger book sparseness. 2 short notations of absence. Few things speaks to material simplicity. A nothing much doubles the absence, turning it into a principle. If the man is escaping in some way, he is escaping not only from people but from the gravitational pull of possessions. Yet the absence of things is not presented as virtue. It is not asceticism, nor moral rejection of wealth. It is simply part of the fading contour of the man. The fewer the attachments, the fewer the lines that bind him to the visible world. Fourth awakening to the fractured world. The text shifts with, he began one day. It is an awakening, but not a single event. It happens in bits, pieces, and lies, waking up bits and pieces. Waking up bits and lies. The juxtaposition is important. The awakening does not yield a unified truth, but fragments, some true, some false. The distinction between them is blurred. Both are equally part of what comes into awareness. This is not the romantic awakening of sudden enlightenment. It is the piecemeal, uncertain reassembly of reality, where each piece must be examined for contamination. The bits and lies are not necessarily lies told to him. They are the embedded falsehoods that have become part of the fabric of what is remembered. Awakening here is the destabilizing realization that memory and deception have grown in the same soil. 5. The multiplicity of seeing. The movement from eyes to eye marks a transition from the external to the internal, from shared sensory apparatus to the singular faculty of vision that belongs to no one else. The eyes see him here, there, in specific moments. The eye, singular, has the capacity to perceive the whole. Yet the whole is never seen. Never a once did they ever see him everywhere. The language here performs the scarcity it describes. The repetition of ever and once is almost childlike, as if to underscore that even the simplest completeness, being seen in full, never occurred. The multiplicity of partial sightings adds up to nothing whole. The early surrounding the recollections that follow are not narrated as idyllic youth, but as an early immersion in distortion. Everybody all around. Nobody sounded sound. The pun on sound does heavy lifting. It is both tonal quality and moral health. No one sounded stable. No one's voice rang true. In such an environment, falsity is not an exception, but the ambient condition. The lies are presented in two distinct operations, one to get ahead, the other to retaliate. The environment is self-reinforcing, offensive and defensive deceit feeding each other. The phrase doing that dance renders the cycle as ritual. It is not merely opportunistic, but codified, expected. 7th, the slow turn of time. The narrative widens to include age. The mention of that man got fat is not a simple jab at physical change. It is emblematic of a certain accumulation, weight as a metaphor for the sediment of years, the thickening of habit and complacency. The more telling phrase is, forgot how what it was. Forget how the all sound. This is not mere forgetfulness of facts. It is the loss of sensory orientation, the erasure of the memory of sound, which in this text operates as the emblem of authenticity. The all sound could refer to the total resonance of truth, the unifying tone that once existed in the shared life of the community. Its loss signals not only a social breakdown, but the decay of a perceptual organ. 8th, lying into forgetfulness. Here the fragment names a particular pathology, lying into forgetfulness. This is not lying in order to deceive others, but lying until the original truth is erased from the liar's own mind. It is a kind of moral autoimmune disorder. The tools built to manipulate perception turn inward, dismantling the liar's own memory. In this state, there is no return path to the truth, not because it is guarded, but because it has been obliterated. 9th, the endless grievance. The repetition of grievances is incantatory, almost ceremonial. The abundance of grievance leaves no room for relief. There is no catharsis, no release into forgiveness or resolution. Grief and grime merge with time itself. Emotional, physical, and chronological decay form a single mass. It is in this section that the shine emerges as a counter-image, the absent quality against which the present decay is measured. 10th, the shine as ontological light. The shine in this fragment is not simply brightness or charm. It is the visible sign of vitality. When it is gone, the absence is not cosmetic, but existential. The loss of shine means the body no longer testifies to the presence of life in the spirit. The descriptions of blindness, blind two, one in the left, the other at night, pair physical and spiritual sight. The day blindness is a failure to navigate the visible world. The night blindness is a loss of inner orientation, the incapacity to find direction in the unseen. The godly mercy and hammer hand appear as the only forces capable of acting upon the shineless. These forces are not mutually exclusive. Mercy might restore, the hammer might end, but in both cases, the agency has shifted entirely outside the self. 11th, the corner that conceals the fragment hints at a corner beyond which something awaits, but declines to define it. Cause what's around the corner, though I can't say, not for sure. The refusal is deliberate. The hazard is acknowledged, the certainty denied. In this way, the corner becomes a permanent horizon, a point of unverified speculation. The figure of Mr. E. Scaping remains suspended before it. 12th, lightless existence. The section that follows is absolute in its negation. When the shine is gone, you reflect no light, not in the day, not at night. Reflection is interaction. To reflect no light is to be severed from the field of visibility. The loss is total. It is not only the case that no one sees, but that nothing is available to be seen. Light cannot find a surface. Perception has nowhere to land. 13th, the last disappearance. The final blow is the loss of sound, 'cause you forgot the sound. There is nothing to say for you who shine no light, not by day nor by night. You will never be seen, you will never wondered about. The forgetting of sound is more final than the loss of shine. Lightlessness can be noticed, even pitied. Soundlessness of this kind erases even the memory of presence. Without sound, there is no narrative, no trace in the mind of others. The sound here is not mere noise, but the movement of truth, quietly, and not by shout. This is the antithesis of the earlier dance of lies. One is empty spectacle, the other is subtle, unforced motion. The loss of this quality seals the disappearance. In the fragment's cosmology, the final condition is not death, but unremarked absence, never seen, never wondered about. 14th, the structural logic of fading taken as a whole. The fragment maps a structure of gradual erasure, ordinariness as surface identity, minimal possessions reducing visible markers, fragmented awakening that reveals instability rather than coherence, partial sightings replacing the whole, immersion in distortion from earliest memory, forgetting of resonance in community and self, self-deception into amnesia, endless grievance replacing forward movement, loss of shine severing visibility, loss of sound severing remembrance. Each step removes another layer of perceptibility until nothing remains for others to notice or recall. 15th, the narrator. As archivist in this reading, the narrator is not a moral commentator but an archivist of vanishing. The tone is less outrage than record-keeping. Each stanza preserves a stage in the erosion, setting it down before it too disappears. The piece functions as a ledger of diminishment. It keeps the shape of Mr. E. Scaping's life in language, even as the life itself moves toward invisibility. The act of writing is the final containment, a paradox given the name that resists containment. 16th, the unresolved question the fragment leaves open whether Mr. E. Scaping intended his own disappearance. Was the escape an act of preservation in a corrupted environment, or was it a collapse brought on by that very environment? The text offers evidence for both readings. The early ordinariness and possessionlessness suggest an intentional minimalism. Yet the loss of shine and sound feels less like a choice than a consequence. The ambiguity here is not a flaw, but the essential mystery. The man's escape is both an act and a fate. Time as dissolver. Though time is mentioned directly only a few times, it is the constant solvent. Grime, grief, forgetting, all are time's work. The lies of the young become the amnesia of the old. The shine fades under the slow abrasion of days. The sound diminishes until it is no longer remembered. The name that promised movement away from capture turns out to name a process enacted over decades, an escape so slow it could be mistaken for ordinary life. 18th, the afterimage at the end of the fragment. What remains of Mr. E. Scaping is an afterimage, not a figure standing in a place, but the lingering sense that someone once passed through, someone who was here, then there, never everywhere. The afterimage has no shine, no sound, but it has contour in language. The narrator's words are the only remaining surface upon which light and sound can momentarily return. The man's presence survives only in the very act of describing his absence.